Most music producers struggle to scale because of one thing. Actually, no, three things. They have no structure, they have no offers, and income is just so unpredictable. Today, I'm going to show you how I structure my offers, how I get repeatable workflows so that I can just maximize the amount of work and avoid burnout ultimately. And it's worth pointing out that music producers that I'm currently working with and helping develop, they're developing 30 to 50% more revenue growth because of the systems that we're going to talk about today. And those three things that we're going to talk about today: creating structured offers, implementing systems for delivery and outreach, and then building consistency into your workflow. I'm going to share the screen in a moment. Let me pull my chair in, get myself ready. Here we go. Chaos versus systems. Chaos in your workflow equals unpredictable income and constant stress. Systems turn repeated tasks into predictable results, and you can free up so much energy to focus on music and not just the admin. I hit this wall when I first started getting work in. I was like, this is great, and then realized I was mainly working on admin. So that's kind of what spurred this conversation on in this video today. And even small systems like a checklist for onboarding clients can make a huge difference. You just know you're not going to forget anything. You're not storing everything up here. You have to-do lists and places to put things so it's never in your mind. Even often I find when I'm out for a meal with family or friends or having some drinks, I'll think about something and I'll store it all up here and then I'll be really stressed. So I have systems for all those things. We're not going to touch specifically into that today, but let's start talking about packaging your offers. The main big mind shift change I did was I stopped selling hours. A lot of producers try and just charge by the hour, or they'll try and charge hourly for any revisions and any tweaks. And I think it's really detrimental. I think it's really bad for the relationship you have with artists. So the first shift we're going to make is stop selling hours and start selling value as a package. Clear offers solve specific client problems and attract the right clients. And an example of that is a package equals maybe a finished track plus revisions plus stems ready for release. That's what they're going to get, and it's very, very clear what it is. In my case, it even starts with songwriting sometimes. The price might be slightly higher because they want to finish an idea and they're not quite confident, but they want to be confident before we hit the studio. And then it includes, recording, production, mixing, mastering, and then stems. Packages reduce the back and forth and making the process smoother for you and the client. The smoother your process, the easier it feels to work with you, the more likely people will be to come back as well. There's that famous saying that, the repeat clients are the easiest to sell to. And that's why wherever your favorite shop is, let's just say Amazon, it's why you keep going back to Amazon, because they work so hard on making it as easy as possible for you to have the experience with them. If it was difficult every time you ordered something on Amazon, you simply just wouldn't go back. So they've focused the effort on there. The customer service is going to be good, and the delivery is going to be quick, and you can order it today and it will turn up tomorrow. That's an amazing model, and it's why we keep going back. And you want to do the same thing for your artists. I never thought I'd be comparing music producers with Amazon, but here we go. Tiered offers for different clients. Entry level, mid-tier, premium, each of these solves a different problem. And I always think it's worth having each of these really clearly laid out whenever you're having any sales calls, whenever you're having any discussions with clients. If an artist turns around and says, how much is it for the mid-tier offer? You want to be able to say that price and know what that includes very, very quickly. In the same way that you subscribe to a service or a plugin, or trying to think of one online. So I use Loom for all my videos, or Google Workspace. You click on prices and you see the different packages. You've got the free version, which we're not going to do for producing, but you get the idea. You get the free version, then maybe the starter, then the pro, and then the agency version. So the prices, what you get, and it kind of makes you go, I can see what's in the premium package. I only want the mid-tier, but then they're aware of what is in the next level up. So the upsell becomes a lot easier next time. Okay, tiered offers make it easy for clients to self-select the right package, as we just discussed. Different tiers expand your market without extra hustle. And tiering also increases revenue potential and client satisfaction. Workflow and automation. Let's delve into this a bit, because I think this is where I've seen most value and most difference in my own process. Having templates, contracts, automated emails They all save hours and hours each week. And I'm so surprised how much they do save. Even if I'm opening up a new project, I use Logic Pro, but a new project, now I have all my templates. I have all my buses set up ready with all my favorite go-to effects. I have tracks like ready with all the instrumentation that I generally lean towards first. All these things save maybe 20 minutes, half an hour at the start of each project. But if I'm working on 10 projects a week or starting 10 projects a week, that's a lot of time saved. In fact, what would it be? Half an hour times 5. It's like 5 hours saved a week. That's most of a day or half a day. So that makes the biggest difference to me. Automation reduces errors and keeps your business professional. Invoices, for example. I updated them yesterday. This is why it's on top of my mind. I have a reminder that goes out 7 days, 14 days, and 21 days after the due date of that invoice. So I don't have to be chasing people up. And it just notifies me now at the end of the 21 days if they still haven't paid it, so that I can call them up. I can manually do something to get them there. I've never had to do that before. But I've updated the messages to be a little bit more friendly and less like the ones that are provided by Xero. I use Xero for all my invoicing, and it reduces the errors. It also reduces I don't know, if you're really pissed off because somebody hasn't paid, you might be more frustrated, and it might burn a bridge. It might burn a professional relationship in the future. So automating things keeps everything professional, reduces any errors, and keeps your business professional. It ensures clients have a consistent experience every single time. And that consistency is what you want. It's like with the Amazon example. It's the fact that it's consistent that I like going back. I know what I'm going to get every time. And finally, it frees up your brain space to focus on music and not admin. That's super important. Not only are you trying to get, I don't know, let's say 2 new projects in a week, but you need to have the creative energy and the headspace to even jump into that in the first place. So let's save that brain space for the creativity and not waste it on admin. Let's talk about building consistency. So consistency isn't working harder, it's planning ahead. And knowing how many clients or projects you need per month to hit targets is super important. So block time in your calendar for client work, marketing, follow-ups. I have a very regimented calendar, and it's not regimented in that like Monday morning is this every single time, because that's boring to me. But I know what tasks I need to hit each week, and I just make sure they're in the most convenient spot. The weather right now is amazing. I might go play golf later. So how do I make sure that I am still hitting everything else that I want to hit during the week whilst giving myself flexibility when the weather's good, which in the UK, you want to make use of that when it's here. And then finally, tracking your pipeline keeps your business predictable and stress-free. So who are you having conversations with? Who was wanting to start working with you last month and said they were going to start working with you this month, but you haven't heard from them yet? How are you remembering to follow up with them when you've got hundreds of conversations on the go? That's a super important one, a huge change. In the course, we actually have CRM, which is the easiest way to describe it is it's columns of different parts of your process, and people are in each column depending on where they are in the workflow. So you might have only just connected with them, in which case they're in my leads column. And then when they've booked a call, I drag them over into my booked a call column, and then it's kind of follow up from the call. So I can see where people are at all times. And that doesn't mean the relationships are fake. It means that the relationships are organized in a way of me just knowing where I should spend my time. And it's such a great template, that CRM. So we'll maybe talk about that at a later date, but it's probably the tool that I use that generates the most income, because I'm not missing on opportunities where people have just forgotten to get in touch with me, and I nudge them, and then suddenly there's a $2,000 deal that's just been made out of the blue. So I'd say that's probably the most important tool. Quick action steps then for today. So step 1, map out all your offers and package them clearly. Make sure you know what are your 3 tiers of packaging, what is the price, what's included in each of those. Step 2, build repeatable systems for client acquisition, for onboarding, and for delivery. And then step 3, schedule work consistently to hit monthly income goals. If you know what you want to earn annually, let's break that down into 12 months and then weeks and figure out roughly what that looks like. I actually recommend everybody to think about an annual basis, because there's certain times a year where it's going to be quiet. Coming up to Christmas, people are spending their money on Christmas. January. People have either spent their money and don't have it to spend, or they're just busy getting their year going. So generally speaking, that's the quietest time of year. So I like to think annually, because that's the most important way to think about, what is it that I can do next year, and what can I do? Can I go on that holiday next summer? Can I invest into my house and build the extension, or buy the hot tub? All these things that you want to plan for, that generally speaking, music producers struggle to plan. And then finally, step 4, which is a bit of a bonus, identify one task to automate this week. Don't forget that the small wins do compound. So you don't have to hit all these things at once and get really stressed. Like, over the next 3 months, just slowly implement what you believe is the most important way forwards. And additional action steps. If that all feels a little bit too much to cope with on your own, and you just want the additional help, maybe you find these videos really helpful, comforting to know that somebody else is going through the same thing or has been through the same thing as you, you can book a free call. I'm offering free journey plan calls, and the reason it's called the journey plan is because we're going to figure out where you're at today. You'll take me through your process. We'll identify where there's missing gaps or what could be improved, and then build a bit of a journey up between now and the next 12 months, so that 12 months from now, maybe you could double your income goal. Maybe you can just feel less stressed in 12 months, and we'll work through specifically what it is you need to work on. We'll audit your offers, systems and workflow. Sorry, I got ahead of myself there. And then walking away with the 12-month, I'm just getting ahead of myself. I'm too excited to give it to you. Even if we don't work together, you will leave with that plan regardless. So there will be a pivot moment in the conversation if you want to hear more about what I do with artists on a weekly basis. But at that point, if you're good to go, you've got everything you need, you can dip out at that point, and you don't need to hear any more about the course. So that's totally up to you. Gives you complete freedom. So that's it from me today. Thank you so much for hopping on. Let's go full screen. Thank you so much for hopping on. Look after each other, stay safe, and remember, never stop creating, ever.